would do it from your main, like this here. You see how it's exactly the same as over here. I should say. So you can see over here in header files, you add new item, header file. Okay. And you name it, try and name it something that's gonna have something to do with it, with what you're actually doing. You know, always try and keep it realistic, understandable. Okay, here I actually use a constant value. I declare an integer of constant, and one of the naming conventions is that when you declare a constant variable, that you make all of it capital letters, and when you have spaces, you use this underscore. Just a standard that programmers use for naming conventions. So whenever you have a constant value, then you'll know right away. The point of it is just that you would know as soon as you see it that that's a constant value. It's not going to change. You can't try and change it. Okay. As we move down through here, okay, I basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating an array of 5 numbers. Okay. And then I'm going to ask the user to enter 5 numbers. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a for loop, which we learned about before, declaring it. Actually, I already declared it up here. You can do that too. You don't necessarily got to declare it inside the loop. But you do got to initialize it. So, declare your I. And then you do the condition. If I is less than or equal to 4, then increment. So, okay, now it's going to take the input using the array that I created, using I as the index for the array. So as it increments, it's going to change the index on the number array, as we learned before in arrays. Okay, and then we have a return value. Here we're calling a function average. As you can see down here, it has an int return. Okay. So what we're doing is we're passing in each number using an array index. Okay, instead of trying to pass each variable, this time we're actually going to use an array. So we've created the array. You know, it's going to be of size 5 max, starting with 0 and going to 4. Okay, so we're passing all these numbers that the user entered into this function, which is going to return a value to us. So we come down here to the function. You can see that these are going to be the same values, even though the variable names aren't the same. The functions are different. That, you know, it doesn't matter what you name your functions, even though you do want to keep them so you understand what they are. It doesn't have to be the same as the whatever's being passed. These are basically you're actually creating new variables inside these parameters of the function. Okay. So basically what we're passing in here is we're passing in the first value, like we did before. First value here, second value, second value, and it goes down the whole way until you get to 4, and then we have amount of numbers, which is the set amount of numbers that we're gonna use to average. Okay, so we have the set amount of numbers. Okay, so we come down here and we create a new variable for the return, which is int equals return. We're initializing it. Okay, then we're gonna use the return to get to store the actual average, and then we're gonna return it. Okay, so put this in parentheses so it does everything inside of this first, Let's add it all. Adds all these values together, and then it divides it by the amount of numbers there is, which is how you get the average of a number. Okay, so then it returns, like I said. Then it comes back up here to where the function started, and it's going to store it in this return. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is that this return is different than this return. So don't get it confused. I actually have it declared up here, and I have it declared here. Functions have their own set of what they call local parameter or local variables. Okay, so this is actually local to this function. Nothing outside of it can see it or use it. So, and that way you can reuse the same name variables if it's necessary. Okay. So as I said before, we create this header file when we pass that prototype to it. And you can see this is the prototype. You can see something there's a little different. We include the ISO stream, or IO stream, I'm sorry, the input-output stream in the header file and the namespace. As you can see, as you go down and you start creating these new files, you have to try to figure out how to link them together, which I'll probably be describing in later videos. But for now, this gives you a little taste of how header files work, and eventually this is going to describe how classes work too. This is definitely a step up. Okay, so guys, definitely study this, go over it, type it out, use repetition to understand it. Actually type it out, try and do it for yourself, see if you can remember as much of this stuff as you can. And it's important to keep going over it so you can memorize this stuff. There's a lot of stuff to memorize. All these, this project is available on the forum. You can download it. You can try and go over this video with while I'm talking about it, and try and understand the code. That's it for this video. I guess I could run the program here quick. So here we go. Okay, enter 5 numbers, so it's not to confuse it. 107, 89, 45, 34, 99. Okay, so the average of all those numbers is 54. See how it returns it. And it's down here. This is where we actually printed out the value using the return value from the function. So we use cout to print the value, along with the string that we created. Sometimes you'll probably see this too in my programs. It's another way to pause the screen at the end. Instead of using syn get, you can use system pause. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for later videos. Like I said, use that repetition, study this stuff. Try, if you really want to learn it. This does lead to 2D and 3D game programming. This is what I'm learning. So if you pay attention, you should have a good understanding how mirror works and how the server works. Since there is servers that build in C# and C++. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Alright.